This photograph was taken on the 2nd of March 1983 in the Great Hall at Lancaster University. I was in my second year when I received a call from Jeff Campbell, the Students' Union Entertainments Officer, asking if I could step in and photograph U2. He was unavailable that evening and needed someone to cover the gig. At the time, I wasn't especially familiar with U2. They were simply the next band on the bill, but it was work, and more importantly, it was an opportunity. So I arrived with my trusty Olympus OM2N camera, 85mm f2 lens, and a single roll of Ilford HP5 black and white film. 36 exposures, no backup. I shot the roll frame by frame, and once it was finished, left before the end of the concert, satisfied that the job was done. It's strange to look back on that now. Within a few years, U2 would become one of the biggest bands in the world. And here they were, in the Great Hall, still close enough to see the whites of their eyes. Had I possessed even a hint of foresight, I would have brought several rolls of film and stayed until the house lights came up. But photographs are rarely made with foresight, they're made in the present tense. This was the first concert I'd been asked to photograph officially by Lancaster University Students' Union, and how it came about was largely a matter of chance. My school friend Neil Lambert was studying at Preston Polytechnic while I was at Lancaster. I spent many weekends there, and sometimes longer if my timetable allowed. Preston Poly regularly hosted well-known touring bands, and I began taking photographs at those concerts for my own record. It then occurred to me that the student newspaper, the Ribble Echo, might be interested in publishing some of them alongside their gig reviews. They were. One thing led to another, and I found myself photographing concerts more formally for a couple of years. One weekday afternoon, having stayed on in Preston, I was in a largely empty student union refectory, playing pinball while waiting for Neil to finish a lecture. A man approached me and asked if I knew Dean Weston. "That's me," I said. The man was Jeff Campbell. Jeff had just come from a meeting with his opposite number at Preston Poly, where he'd seen the latest issue of the Ribble Echo featuring some of my photographs. He was looking for someone who could cover concerts at Lancaster when he couldn't, and asked if I'd be interested. Naturally, I said yes. Jeff worked closely with Barry Lucas, the driving force behind bringing world-famous artists to Lancaster, performers who might otherwise have seemed entirely out of reach for a university venue. Barry later co-authored the book When Rock Went to College, which documents that remarkable period and includes a number of my Lancaster photographs, alongside many taken by Jeff himself. But on the 2nd of March 1983, none of that context felt historic. It was simply another assignment, one roll of HP5, 36 frames. This image, Bono leaning towards the crowd, arm extended, light cutting across the stage, captures something of the urgency that was already there. Even in a relatively small hall, there was a sense of scale to what they were doing, a kind of reach. What I've always liked about this photograph is a small detail in the crowd. If you look closely, you can just make out a face in the audience, turned upwards, completely fixed on Bono. There's an intensity to that expression, someone utterly absorbed, lost in the moment, and it anchors the image for me as much as the figures on stage. Bono's arm is extended not as a gesture, but because he's holding the microphone out towards the audience, encouraging them to join in. That exchange, performer offering the song back to the room, is what gives the image its sense of connection. Less than an hour into the performance, I shot the last frame, rewound the film, and left. Only later did I realise I had photographed the early days of something that would become enormous. That's how this photograph came about.